Jill, is moderation possible? Why or why not?
I say no. And I say that because I think it's really like you either can or you can't. And there are some people that can control their drinking and they can resist the cravings, but it's not a positive experience for them. They still regret it, they still wonder if they need to be sober, they wonder why they have all this anxiety. They have cravings the next day that they have to fight off. And even though maybe they stop at 2, that's still not really true moderation. I think true moderation is when you just have however many drinks, you're satisfied, you move on with your life. And that's kind of the problem with people that are problematic drinkers, is we don't get satisfied. And then we don't move on with our lives either. We just think about it forever, no matter how much you drink. I have people that come to me, they only drink once a month, but they think about it all the time. So even though we might think that they're living the dream drinking once a month, or that they're a special occasion drinker, it's still consuming their thoughts. So I think that's the real difference. So I think maybe we can learn to control it, but we can't have true moderation. And there's a lot of reasons that happens to people. Some are more vulnerable than others. Some people just exist in the world more vulnerable. Women, unfortunately, are more vulnerable just because the way our brains work, our brain chemistry, the way things are connected. It's slightly different than men, so we are more sensitive to the rewarding effects of alcohol, which means if alcohol is more rewarding, it's easier for you to do it a lot. Other people, it feels better for them. That was one of the first things that I learned about when I started looking into alcohol. I learned that some people release more endorphins than others when they drink, and endorphins make you happy and feel good. So if alcohol is a really pleasurable experience for you, you're probably gonna do it more often than other people. And the thing that I think is the true differentiator is the obsession, what I was talking about a moment ago. And there's this thing called attentional bias that is one of my favorite concepts that I've learned about. And it's a fixation on alcohol. So if you go out to a bar, you probably notice who's drinking and who's not. And then if you stay there for a while, you notice how many drinks everybody has consumed and at what rate they have consumed those drinks. We get fixated on alcohol. If there's alcohol in a show, like in the background, we'll find it. And that is what creates the obsession. There's a lot of things that go into it, but that's the example I'm using right now. And because we focus on it more and we get fixated, alcohol cues have the ability to grab our attention and hold our attention. And it's like milliseconds more than like a normie. So we don't detect that it's happening to us. But I think the example from my own life, I had done 90 days and then I was cured and I could moderate again. And I isolated in my house and moderated for 2 months and did not socialize or do anything risky. And then my husband and I, we went on a cruise. And we had the drink package. And I said, I'm just gonna drink the way that I want to, and then I'll moderate when I get home. And it seemed like the perfect plan, because I wanted to be a special occasion drinker. So I go on the cruise and I get super drunk every single night and I embarrassed myself all over Europe. It was really bad. But there was this one night towards the end where I was probably close to blackout drunk. And my husband was just trying to keep up with me and he could not. And we went back to our room and he had a full pint of beer. And he took it and he set it on the table. He was not gonna drink it at all. We were about to go to bed. I was already way too drunk. I wasn't having fun anymore. We're talking about what we're gonna do in the morning for our excursion. And with no warning or thought, I pick up the beer and I slammed it right before I went to bed. And I analyzed this example years and years and years later. And what's going on is you can't detect that you're fixated on the alcohol, but my husband is talking to me about how we have to get up early for the excursion, and I'm like kind of over here looking at the beer, thinking about it, and my brain is like, when there's alcohol, you drink it, and I'm trying to have this conversation and thinking about other things, and then eventually the cues won out, and I drank the beer, but it was behind my level of detection. And that stuff is going on all the time. And that, I think, is a main reason that we can't moderate. And the more that you drink alcohol too, the more that it changes your brain. And some of these changes are just unfortunately permanent. Some of them can be improved with sobriety, but we always have that vulnerability. And one sensitivity that we have is our ability to stop. So some people lose their off switch. Maybe you never had it, but some people will eventually lose it. And that's because the part of your brain that tells you to go gets strengthened the more that you drink and drink and drink. And the part of the brain that tells you to wait or stop gets weakened. And over time, the go part gets even stronger, and the part that's telling you to wait gets even weaker. And then you can't wait or stop anymore. And these, even if you're sober for years, you can quickly return to all of these adaptations. That's why I took the 90-day break, and then I went back to blowing up my life. It didn't take me very long. Some people will be sober for years, they'll drink again, and then they'll go right back, maybe even the same day, to blowing up their life. So, sorry if I spoiled anybody's hope. But that's my job. I don't want you to have that hope anymore, because if you can let go of the hope that one day you can control it, or one day you can be this fantasy drinker that you're always thinking about, then you can just let it go and move on with your life. And that was the only way that I was able to quit. When I really accepted, like, this drinking that I'm thinking about has never ever been my drinking. I'm fantasizing about this made up version that I see other people have that I've never had myself. And once I realized that it was unattainable, I could let it go. And I didn't have to wonder, has it been long enough? Can I moderate now? I've learned so much. I have so many coping skills. I don't have to wonder that anymore. It's just, I can't do it.
And that, I think, speaks to the freedom that a lot of us talk about. It's just like finally saying, oh, I don't have to deal with that inner struggle anymore, right?
Yeah, you don't have to think about it all day long, every single day. Like, when I finally stopped drinking, I realized how many hours every day I thought about my drinking. I wasn't even drinking in those moments. I was just thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was either thinking, like, why are you such a loser? Why do you always have to do this to yourself every single day? How can we moderate next time? We said we weren't going to drink today, but maybe we didn't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And over and over and over. And that takes up hours of time per day.
Awful.